I'm not gonna. No, it's honestly is that I don't think you should spend your money on another copy of this game. That's really what it is.
No, because I'm spending $15.
That's spending money. That's literally the definition.
Spending. I understand that. I do have a woman's mind where it's like, great deal, but you're still spending money.
It's kind of like they're giving you money. No, it's not. It's not like that at all.
It's $15.
Who is your daddy? I am your father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?
Well, let's jump in to the episode because I want us to talk about this a little bit. We're in episode 159.
You want me to sell you on it?
And yes. So my name's Tim, and this is Derek trying to convince me to buy Devil May Cry 5. Now, he's actually got me at a really good spot in gaming right now. I've got a few days, almost a full week until the Division 2 comes out. And after the beta, I'm excited to play that. Mm-hmm. But I just finished Far Cry New Dawn today, actually. The credits rolled on that one. I'm not going to go back into it. It was fine. I'll talk about it in a little bit. But now is your chance. If you're going to try to convince me to spend money on another game right now, now's the time. Because I'm in that, you know how on Netflix they talk about when you're done binging a show, you're in that show hole. Like, what do I watch next? I'm in that game hole right now. I'm not sure.
It's pretty easy to convince you. I've told you, I talked about it on the show. I was not hyped about this game at all. You and I played the demo. I didn't even finish the demo. But keep in mind, my expectations were extremely low. I had excitement when they announced it. I was like, oh, cool, another DMC. But then I thought about it. I'm like, I've only beat DMC that wasn't made by who makes DMC. I beat the one that was made by Ninja Theory.
Was that the kind of attempted reboot?
Yeah.
DMC? Okay.
And I really
I played one and part of two back on I want to say those are PS2 games, right?
Yeah.
At least the first one was. Yeah. So maybe I only played one. I can't remember. My memory is really foggy with this series, but
the first three were PS2 games.
But the Devil May Cry series always gave me like a little bit of a Bayonetta vibe, like you mentioned today as we were chatting, and so that appeals to me. But
here's the thing.
I played the demo and I finished it, and I thought, I don't know that was that much fun. It felt very button mashy. It just didn't feel all that great. So are you telling me that
not experienced anything yet?
You're telling me that the main game plays completely differently from the demo? Is that what I'm hearing?
The main game is amazing because you have 3 characters and none of them play the same. Now, I haven't played as the third character yet, but the second character is hands down there's no way the third character will even be close to as good as this one.
On a scale of Tim to Sasan, where does he land in your favorites? Tim being the worst favorite, Sasan being your most favorite.
This is above Sasan. This is above Sasan. I'm dead serious. I'm not just trying to hype this game. Because, even now, even though I'm coming down and, I game, I don't game a lot. Like, I still have a lot of restrictions, and I just get bored with games. Like, I'll try to play Red Dead, and I'll be like, I'll be in the middle of a mission. I'm like, I don't even want to finish this mission, much less beat this game. This game, I'm like, do I got time? Okay, let's play. Yeah. So the character I'm talking about, these aren't spoilers. Everybody knows the 3 characters. There's Nero, there's a new character, V, and then there's, of course, Dante. You start
Dante's
out
the original, right? He's the original Devil May Cry character. Yeah.
So you start out as Nero. Nero's kind of your little wise ass prick teen type guy. He would be more like who you used in DMC, which I believe in DMC it was Dante. I'm pretty sure it was a rebooted Dante.
And then in the demo we used Nero, right?
Yes, because that's like the second level. Like you play the prologue, and I think. So it's actually the first chapter or first mission. You play the prologue and then you play the first mission, which I believe is that Nero mission. So you haven't even fully unlocked all his abilities. There's a ton of unlockables. You're constantly getting red orbs. That's nothing new to Devil May Cry, but there's a ton of unlockables. But here's what I think is really cool about this game. I mean, there's a lot of things I think that are really cool about this game. But V is, it's funny because I watched the IGN review and his least favorite part of the entire game was V. So when I got a hold of V, I was like, oh, that's probably gonna be lame.
Is he the guy who looks a little bit like the Final Fantasy 15 villain? He looks a little bit like him.
Yes, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's the voice actor because he has a voice I recognize, and it's very dark and evil sounding. Hold on.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
All right, so here, let me tell you about V a little bit. V he doesn't really fight. All he does is summon his bird and his panther, his black panther. And they fight for him.
He's a slave owner. Awesome.
Yes. Slave driver. And both his animals are black. Just saying. Wow. Just saying. He's white, by the way.
Wow, I am triggered beyond belief right now.
So he summons them to fight for him. While they fight, they cannot finish off an opponent. This is where it kind of actually feels like Final Fantasy 15. Because you'll lock on an enemy, they fight it, and then they get it to a point where it needs the final blow, and then you will lock on that enemy and hit B and B on Xbox. If you hit B, he'll basically fly to the enemy and just do a finishing blow, and it's almost like a fatality. It's pretty fucking sweet. Like, I feel so satisfied the entire time I'm using this guy. I'm like, I love you, V. I love you, V. Just keep talking to me. Keep
a big win in your column will be if you cannot make me go and edit this show tonight, then I'm much more likely to spend that time in the Microsoft store making a purchase. I'm just saying. Just saying.
So I didn't actually say it, didn't I?
No, you didn't.
Blurted it out. Okay.
No, you did it yourself.
Point is V is amazing. I freaking love V. I do think I'll like Nero. I will say I'm a little confused on Nero. I'm not good at these games. I've never said I'm good at these games. I'm actually god-awful at them. It's another reason why I wasn't hyped, because I was like, I'll probably just play it, die a lot, and be like, okay, I'm done. Or get mad.
So do you die a lot? Is it a tough game?
It would be tough if I was playing it on a hard level. I brought it down just so I can enjoy the game. Okay. You'll play it at normal, like you would play Bayonetta. You're better at these games. So I don't think it's that hard. And the reason why, and I'm going based off the reviews, I'm not dying, but even if you die, you have enough gold orbs that you don't like have to refight the guy. Like you just pop back up and you're good. Gotcha. So they give you plenty of I think they really wanted people just to enjoy the game, like have fun. It's all about style more than it is about being
I have not heard difficulty being a thing with this game. Usually if that's a thing, people talk about it, and
DMC games are difficult.
They are tough.
DMC 3 is tough. I think I had trouble on DMC 4 at times. I played those all at normal. Yeah. This one I just went into it because I have zero patience, so I went into it right away going, just drop the difficulty so you don't yell.
How far into it are you?
I just finished mission 5 of 20.
Oh, okay. All right. So you've gotten a little bit into it. So it's not like it's just easy at the beginning and then because I feel like the first DMC, and I could be totally misremembering this, or the first Devil May Cry, I guess. I feel like there was a difficulty spike. Like at the beginning, they're teaching you the ropes and you're owning everything. And then all of a sudden, like, okay, you learn the ropes. Here's the real enemies. And I remember that game getting really tough, really quick.
I think on normal, it's going to be more difficult. And you'll probably run into some issues with some of it. I think the thing that I like is, I like everything. I seriously think this is my game of the year so far. I mean, not that we're that far into the year, but I just love it. Like, that's why I said I'll pay the $15 to get on Xbox, because after I beat it on PC, I'll probably just boot it up on Xbox and play.
No multiplayer in this, right? This is just single player.
Yeah, and I like that it's linear. I'm kind of over open world bullcrap. Yeah. The levels are pretty linear. There's a little bit of openness, but not a lot.
Maybe some stuff to go discover. Like
you're just going to get collectibles. Like if you notice something, you're like, that looks like somewhere I could walk behind or I could jump back there. There's usually an orb or something that you want back there. Okay. But so far, here's what I like. Obviously, I've talked about the combat. Combat's super fun. I still got to get good with Nero. Nero has some cool stuff, too. I mean, I don't want to spoil everything, but, again, this is stuff that's been shown. He has, like, this ability, like, to ride, almost like he's riding on, like, a hoverboard. And so you're, like, flying through these stages, like, fighting enemies, and that's the part I'm a little confused on, because I'm like, how do I control my ability to
like
fly
surf
around?
Battling.
Yes. But there's just a ton of stuff I've never done in a video game that I'm doing in this, and they're different. Nero does not play like V at all. I mean, sure, there's some similarities, but they're completely different. And so the combat's top-notch, in my opinion. Graphics, I'm a graphic whore. Holy crap, does this game look amazing. I have it playing native 4K, ultra settings, so I didn't even have to drop any of the settings. All of them are maxed out.
Keep in mind, those who are listening, Derek's playing this on a high-end PC, right?
Yeah, I'm playing on PC. And so the frame rates will dip for me because I'm maxing out. If I dropped it a little bit, I probably would just hit a clean 60.
But you just wanted to see all the textures look like at the highest quality.
I'm not a big FPS person unless I'm playing multiplayer, and even that I'll still pick beauty over frames per second. But I won't drop it unless I see it like struggling. And there was only one situation where it dropped to like 30 frames per second. Every time it's 45 and above. So I'm fine with that. But the frames per second are great. The graphics are gorgeous. Probably one of the best looking games. And it's art design and all that, but it's also the lighting. Like, I feel like the lighting is real crisp, real bright, real dark. Like, it's got great contrast in the lighting. Character designs are good. Voice acting's decent. It depends on what you like. If you're looking for a serious game, like a serious story and stuff like that, no, that's not why people are saying the story is good. The story is good because I think they have interesting characters and an interesting story, but it's the way it's unfolded and the way it plays out, the way it's acted out is still silly. It's still Devil May Cry. It doesn't take itself too seriously while it's being serious. So far, there's no negatives. I have no negatives. Boss fight, that's what I was going to get into. After every mission or at the end of every mission, there's a boss fight. And they're all interesting. The enemy design is crazy good. After coming off Anthem, where it's like, not only are the designs of the enemies dumb, there's only like 3 of them.
They're very repetitive. We need to talk about that a little bit because I have some updated thoughts, and I'm sure you do too on Anthem. But go ahead.
But Devil May Cry is like a new enemy every 5 seconds, and they're artistically crazy, like bat poop crazy looking, and they're very, very detailed. I can't tell you anymore how much I love this game. I know I'm only into Mission 5. In my opinions, I've always been open and honest. I have no problem admitting I'm wrong. Maybe later on I'll get bored. Maybe later on I will just decide I don't like it or it's pissing me off because I'm dying or something. But right now, it's just fun to play. I don't know, man.
You're already 25% of the way through. I have a feeling you'll.
And I want to get off this and play more. So that's how I know it's good, because the only game that brings me back consistently is Rocket League. Nothing else brings me back anymore. Like, I don't even get into Destiny. I'm not into any of these new games we bought. I don't play Crackdown 3. I'm not playing Metro Exodus. I'm mentioning these because we just bought them. I play Anthem every once in a while. Like, I'll play it. It's one of those games where I'll play a mission and then turn it off.
Yeah, but you finished the main story there, which I want to hear a little bit about.
Yeah, but Anthem isn't about just playing the main story. It's supposed to be a Destiny-type game. Like, you should get through the main story and then want to play more. And I got through the main story and wanted to play, like, one mission more. And I was like, I don't know if I'm...
I want to ask you about that in a second, but go back to Devil May Cry 5. Let's say that someone's never played the series before. Does that matter?
It does not matter. Here's why. They tell you the story in the beginning. You can watch basically an overview of the story. You can also we live in the time period where go on YouTube.
YouTube, right.
I did already, and the story is actually interesting. It's not as crazy as Kingdom Hearts. Of course, when you get a game that has 5 entries, it gets a little like, okay, this sounds really dumb. But it's definitely more put together than like a Kingdom Hearts. It makes sense. You get to know the characters. You'll know who they are. Who's Dante? Who's Virgil? Who's Nero? Who's V? You'll figure this stuff out. So no, that's a non-issue. I think the reason you play this game, though, story is definitely secondary to me. It's all about, if you're just like, hey, I just want to play a game for fun, this is it. This is the
Looks
game.
good and feels good to play. Is what it sounds like.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't know what it is. I don't know why I'm so hyped, but it's the game that's gotten me hyped for gaming. Like Far Cry New Dawn, I was like, all right, I'm just playing Far Cry again. Like I enjoyed Far Cry 5, but I'm like, I just played it again. Anthem, I thought was going to be that game. I enjoyed it, but it kind of got boring and repetitive. And again, we'll talk about that in a second. My point is not a lot of games hook me. And this game, and I told you this before, I was like, I'll buy it on PC. It's cheaper. And that way I can, at least one of us is playing it, because I like for us to be relevant. Like I like when we do our show to be talking about the games that people are playing. Mm-hmm. And you and I are pretty good about purchasing almost everything that needs to be talked about.
Yeah, most of the significant stuff. And then I'll buy the garbage stuff on the side. It's great.
Yeah. Hey, Tim, give me $20. I'll get you Devil May Cry 5. No, I was thinking about buying some indie bullcrap that nobody gives a crap about. But
what's
anyways,
it called? It's actually called indie bullcrap.
But
actually, Indie Bullcrap 2, the sequel.
I really think this game. Okay, so I think there's going to be some amazing games that come out for the rest of this year. Yeah. But I really think this is one of them that's going to hang in my top 5, probably top 3.
All right, I still have some questions though. So
yeah.
You upgrade your abilities as you go, or is it pretty standard? Like this is what you've got from the start, and that's what you continue with.
Okay, so there's a bunch of like combos. There's a bunch of little things that you can upgrade. Like this is gonna sound silly, but this is the first thing I upgrade on both characters: the ability to run, which like Nero will kind of like half like run, but you can upgrade to where he like runs faster. Okay. To make it to get through the levels faster. Then he has his combos. Then you can upgrade each weapon. So each character
doesn't have combos unless you upgrade them. Unless you like unlock.
He has like a standard combo, but then you can make that standard combo more powerful. Plus, you can unlock other combos and other moves.
Okay.
And then each weapon. So he has his sword, and then he has his handguns. You can upgrade those. Plus, this is another thing, and I haven't even touched on this. Nero he doesn't have a right arm. I think it's his right arm. He doesn't have a right arm. So the girl in the game, that his little buddy, she creates like these little like attachments that have special abilities. Kind of reminds me of like Metal Gear.
Is she the one in the van who like helps you upgrade stuff? Okay, I remember that from the demo. Okay.
Yeah, so she creates these like, Mega Man Buster arm type things, and they all have special abilities. They're all different. They all have their own unique abilities. So you can purchase those. You can upgrade their abilities, how strong they are and how fast they reload or regenerate. That type, or like how long they'll last before they blow up, because they are temporary. Okay, so you can use them. Before each mission, like for instance, right now I think you start out with 3 slots unlocked. I've unlocked 2 more for my arm for Nero. So I have 5 slots. I'll usually fill in like 3, and then in the level that I am in the mission, I'll find them laying around. I'll just pick them up, and it fills up all 5. And then what you can do is you can use it to do a standard attack. But then you can also hold it down. You hold down B, and then he'll do his most powerful special attack with that arm, but the arm blows up.
All right, so that's like
it's gone.
Is there a way so you see when your arm is like deteriorating and you use that move right before it's gone, kind of thing? Did I follow that correctly?
I would say yes, but I haven't paid attention.
Okay, cool. All right, so you've got these different arms that can give you different attack abilities or finishing moves, whatever else.
Yeah.
And you can
and that's Nero. That's not V.
But all of them have upgradable abilities, and is it not really a leveling system? You're just collecting the orbs, and you pump.
Yeah, I'm not like level 10 with V. It's just you collect the orbs, you purchase these abilities.
Kind of like the other Devil May Cry games, or Bayonetta does it that way. God of War, the old games used to do it that way. Yeah. Okay.
You're just making everything you use more powerful, and then adding little tricks. But the point of this game again is, while there is going to be difficulty and maybe there will be difficulty spikes, this is all about style. And so since they give you so much like cool crap to do, here's another thing, I love like when I'm playing with V and I'm doing something cool, and the announcer, it almost sounds like a Killer Instinct announcer will be like, Rampage. Like he'll be like talking about like how you're doing something cool.
Yeah.
You know, super, you know, and I'm like, oh, this game's amazing.
Glacier.
Like I just freaking love this game. I said frickin'. I didn't say the other word.
Yeah.
But I love this game. So is it a must buy? Absolutely. Like if you're on the fence, get off of it.
Here's the
like,
thing. I have a feeling we've got a handful of folks who were like, no doubt I'm buying this game. I love this series. But I think more people who are listening have skipped this game. Because it really isn't one of those upper echelon series and IPs that we all think about. It really isn't. I mean, even when DMC came out, what was that, 6 years ago or so, no one really cared that much. You know, people who liked the series liked it, but these games have never really rocked the gaming world that much. And so to see, I mean, this one's sitting at somewhere in the 87 to 89 range in Metacritic. People love it. It's getting great reviews. So that certainly caught my eye. And then, of course, I know that you weren't hyped for this. So the fact that you are evangelizing it so strongly really has my attention. Now, does it feel more like Bayonetta or more like a Nier? What game does it feel the most like?
I hated Nier.
Okay.
I didn't even really care about Bayonetta. I would say it's crazy like Bayonetta, though.
Okay.
Bayonetta might be a little bit crazier. In fact, this game is making me want to invest a little bit more time in Bayonetta. So I might actually get Bayonetta on PC because you can get it for like $5 to $7 now, and give it an honest go. But
I think Bayonetta 2 is on sale right now on the Switch for Mar 10 Mario Day.
Yeah,
so if you want Bayonetta 2, you can grab that on the Switch. Anyway.
Yeah, but this is I don't know, just everything about it. Like I've talked about a lot of things. I've pretty much covered everything that you could want in a game. This game to me has. It's fun, it looks good, it runs smooth, it has good acting, it's a little over the top crazy, which by the way is not my style. I genuinely don't like games that are like that. I like more serious tone games, more, I guess you could say, realistic. This one I'm appreciating the craziness while still, like I said, the game, it almost takes itself serious while not taking itself serious. Like it knows what it is. And so it has a serious tone story, but some of the stuff that's like, you'll see it right away with Nero. Nero's just a wise butt kid. I mean, he just runs his mouth. He says stupid stuff. Like he'll talk trash to the enemies. And that's the other thing is while you're fighting these enemies, you have different taunts. And the taunts like make you more powerful because you're mocking the enemies. Like it's all silly crap. Like it's all just craziness. Like they really embrace it. So
and I'm guessing this isn't exactly the most kid-friendly game that I'd want to play in front of.
No, this is one you would want to play at night when everybody's asleep. So I really like it. I think it's definitely going to be in my top 10. There's no way anything's going to push this one out of my top 10. I just realistically think at this point, and here's the key, it will definitely be a top 3 game for me if I beat it and then I want to play it again. That's always a tell that that's a special game to me, is if I want to play it again. Like I beat Resident Evil 2 and I wanted to play it again. So I started again. Now, did I finish the second playthrough? Not yet. Will I go back to it and finish it? I think before the end of the year, yeah. And I'm feeling that way about Devil May Cry 5. I feel like this is the type of game, maybe it's because it's a little more linear, where I will just want to go back and play it and just keep upgrading my character. Especially if they have like a new game plus where I can just max all my characters out.
Do they have like a game pass or like an expansion pass thing that
they're actually, when I was watching like a review or whatever, they talked about how, actually they do. They have the guy from IGN was saying there's plenty of replayability with this game because after you beat the 20 mission story, which I think takes anywhere from 10 to 15 hours, so it's pretty long as is. Yeah. It's probably closer to the 12 to 15 hour range. They do have like a plus game mode or something. I don't know what they call it, but I think it's a more difficult mode, but it's a second playthrough. And then they're also going to support it with free DLC. So they didn't have like an $80 or $100 version of this. There was a $60 and a $70 version. The $70 version was just a bunch of like outfits and and arms and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
I didn't buy it because I was like, I don't. Again, I'm not completely sold on this game, and that doesn't look like anything that appeals to me. But right now, it seems like they're going to support this game, so there's going to be plenty of stuff. And with how popular it is, I have a feeling it's going to end up selling pretty good. Like, I know Resident Evil 2 killed it. Like, it absolutely killed it. It sold a ton. And I think with this getting high reviews and people coming off Resident Evil 2, I think there's a lot of excitement for this game. I think it will sell better than they probably originally thought it was going to. And so I think they'll end up supporting it even more.
All right. Well, I'm happy to report that you've got me convinced.
I think I really do. Like, you and I kind of have an idea of what we like. Yeah. And what each other like. Like, hey, I really like this game, but I know Derek's just going to tell me it's trash.
Yeah.
When I'm playing this is a Tim game. This isn't a Derek game. This is more, to me, something you would get into. I think you'll like the stylish. There are things that I know you're not into, like, you're not big on too much violence and stuff like that. It's very violent, but I don't like. It doesn't feel like you're.
I mean, to be fair, so is Bayonetta, which I've talked about how much.
That's why I said I think you'll enjoy it because I think the Bayonetta part of it is what made me feel like, okay, he'll like this game. Just like I know Jesse White.
The issue I had with Bayonetta was that I felt really uncomfortable with how over the top sexualized that game is. Otherwise, I love that game. But honestly, I'm not trying to be like holier than thou. If you like it, that's fine. But it made me feel uncomfortable. Like, I shouldn't let anyone see that I'm playing this. Like, I felt like I was doing something wrong, with Bayonetta. Otherwise, the violence was just silly, over the top, arcadey, who cares violence. Like, it never really struck me as crazy.
All the guys are fully dressed so far. I haven't got
They don't spread their legs for the camera when they defeat enemies or whatever.
Nothing like that. And then even the side chicks, they are dressed sexier, they're still not dressed as bad as most games.
You just said side chicks. I mean, how chauvinistic can you get? Wow.
Never mind.
I don't want it.
Always have side chicks.
I think I might just buy it though, and you use that money towards the next big. There's undoubtedly going to be a big third-party game coming out that we don't know about yet. So you can put it towards that, and I'll just get this one. I think I've still got my Best Buy Gamer Club, so I'll just use that since I still have the Gamer Club thing.
Get it.
All right, you got me convinced. What I'm not convinced of is how much love we poured out on Anthem a couple weeks back over the last few weeks. And I stand by the fact that Anthem is a pretty game. And honestly, the basic mechanic of flying around in these different types of mechs and shooting and doing your special moves, I stand by the fact that that is fun. And it feels addicting at first. You're looting and you're upgrading. But what I didn't know is as you get into the quote-unquote meat of the game, you discover there's really not much there. The story has potential, but really, I haven't finished it. I know you finished the main storyline, but it's really not. It's not up to BioWare standards, that's for sure. And in general, I just found myself losing interest, and that's why I dove into Far Cry New Dawn head first, and just really enjoyed playing that, which I'll talk about shortly. But wanted to see your updated thoughts on Anthem now that you've finished the story and done. I don't know how much endgame of it you've done, which I've heard is pretty lightweight anyway, but. Do you stand by what we said earlier, how good it was, how much we recommend it, or do you think we back that off a little bit and say, it's really only for a certain type of gamer? What would you say about Anthem now that you spend more time with it?
Okay, so I still stand by it, and the only reason why is because I never thought it was going to be I do remember I did say that it does feel like Mass Effect with multiplayer. I still believe it's very similar to Mass Effect with multiplayer. They do a good job of having a story, and they do these cutscenes. They make you feel like you're playing like a Mass Effect game, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If I had to judge the quality of characters and story and how it ends up playing out, no. Like, if somebody was, like, let's take the multiplayer out of it, and maybe they put in a little bit of the Mass Effect systems, and they title this Mass Effect. Would this story hold up? No.
Yeah, it would not be up to snuff.
People would be like, what? And there was a part, and I'm not going to spoil it, and maybe you probably already hit it, where there's like this little twist, and a certain character does something that at some point I was expecting one of the characters to do it. I just didn't see this one.
Right. No, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And I was like, that's cool. That's BioWare. That's what they do. They kind of set you up, and then boom, they hit you with something unexpected. So I like that. I did. Yeah, but then as the game plays on and you see that character again, they do not do a very good job at all of executing why he did what he did and blah, blah, blah. And then the end boss is fun to fight. I thought the fight was fun, like the whole last level, like or your last mission, which ends up, by the way, it's not a spoiler, it ends up being a stronghold, so you just get to replay it as much as you want. It's fun. It's a really good boss fight, and it's a good mission. But after it played out, I was like, okay, so the story's kind of weak. It's okay. It's not bad. It's not terrible. It's a step in the right direction for
compare
this
it to
type of
Destiny
game.
and Destiny 2, because this game gets compared to those quite a bit for good reason.
I would say it's on par. Like, I
Okay.
don't think it's below it. I don't think it's better. I think it does some things better, but I think Destiny 2 did things better. So I think what it did better is it made it feel more like a single-player game, whereas Destiny made it feel like a multiplayer mission-based game. Like, oh, just do this mission, do this
Destiny
mission.
feels more like an MMO, even though it's not technically. And Anthem felt more like a single player game, but you will have these somewhat nameless and voiceless, unless you activate voice chat, helpers along the way.
Yeah. Which is what I've always wanted. Since I was a kid, I remember when I would play like a JRPG or an RPG, I'd be like, how cool would this be if I could play with my friends? Like, they're playing in my single-player experience. I always thought that'd be cool. That's what Anthem's trying to be. Do they do it perfectly? No. But my issue isn't really that. My issue with Anthem is I find a lot of I actually agree with Sasan, and normally I don't agree with him on this stuff. I find a lot of the gunplay to be terrible. Some of the guns are amazing, but most of them are god-awful. And so I'm usually not harsh on that because this is an RPG, and I'm like, well, maybe if you get better guns, they'll handle better. I don't think it changes the handling. I think it just changes the power rating of how powerful the guns are. So they don't handle very well. And then the other issue is I just don't think a lot of the end-game stuff I was seeing had me wanting to play it anymore.
So do you feel? Is it fair to say that you feel finished with this game? Like,
I wouldn't say completely finished. I think I'll play with Rob and Jesse and my brother if they want to play. I will probably jump in anytime I know I have more than 20, 25 minutes of free time. I'll jump in and do a mission, but I don't feel hooked.
But even while you've got something like DMC 5 sitting there that you really love, I mean, could you see yourself actually playing this one while you've got, or maybe when that one's over and you're in between games, you'll jump into it?
It really, like, the way I play games is I'll play DMC probably a lot, and then I'll need a break from it. I might go to like Anthem or Rocket League. That's what I normally do. Or if I'm exhausted, like the other night I was exhausted. And I was like, I can't play anything that I have to pay attention to. I need something dumb. And Rocket League's dumb. Anthem is now one of those dumb games where I don't have to think. I already know what I'm doing. I understand the systems. There's no story now that I beat the story. I just can play it. So I like it. Is it amazing? No. I think I keep spreadsheets, and I put that one under one of my completed games, and I think I gave it a score of like an 8. But I wouldn't be surprised if I drop it down to a 7.5. I like to think things through.
I gotta tell you though, I think Anthem makes a great first impression. At least it did for me. I loved the opening. Even like the setting they set up with this kind of mashed together city sort of, or town that you're part of, and the way you climb in and out of your suit. I thought it was really cool. Like, it really was immersive at first. But yeah, you certainly sink into the rhythm and repetition of, collect a few missions, go out and do those things, and they pretty much revolve around the same thing. Investigate an area, defeat all the enemies. They send you to the next area, defeat all the enemies, investigate.
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest problem. And again, I don't normally knock games for this, so it's not like I'm overly harsh. Like, it's repetitive. I get most games are repetitive. But I just do feel like with this game, like, they could have done a little bit better job of making things feel a little bit different.
Yeah.
And they didn't do that. They kind of just kept everything safe and the same. And I like it, but I didn't love it.
That's fair.
But I'll keep playing it. Apparently, they're going to keep supporting it, and so that's what I'll support it. I'll pay attention to what they're doing.
See, I like to have one of those mindless games every once in a while too that you don't need to be thinking about. You could even have a TV show on while you play it, perhaps. Yeah. And so for me, that game right now is Trials Rising, and I know that people think of this as an indie game. Technically, it's not. This is Ubisoft. It's a pretty major game. These games look really pretty. If you care a lot about visuals and you'll play it on the big screen, I 100% recommend Xbox One, PS4, PC for this. The Switch version on the large screen has some frame rate issues at times, and it doesn't look nearly as crisp as the other ones. So I highly recommend if you're going to get this game and you like big screen and you know that's why you play it, get it on one of the more powerful consoles. If you're like me and you'll kind of play it as your on the side dumb game, get it on the Switch, because having it in handheld mode is actually pretty sweet. It's pretty awesome. I think it looks fine in handheld mode, by the way. I don't have any frame rate problems. It looks fine on that small screen. This game has a ton of unlockables, mostly aesthetic. There's a few bikes to unlock as you go. But there's a ton of unlockables. They're all these gear crates that randomly unlock either decorations, which they call stickers, which you can resize and color and put different textures on. And you can design all your own outfits or bike if you want to. They give you a ton of customization if that's your thing. They have these sponsors that pop in every once in a while, and they'll offer you contracts to go back to previously played tracks and now complete this feat, do 8 backflips, defeat this ghost of another player, finish it in under 90 seconds. So they have these challenges they'll have you complete, which nets you usually an item and a whole bunch of experience points you can use to, as you level up, you can then use that to get gear crates and things like that. I think it's a ton of fun. I highly recommend it. It's only, I think, $25 on the Switch. I believe that's the same everywhere else. But if you're like, it's a little steep for an arcade racing game, I totally understand. $25 isn't nothing. As soon as you see it on sale, though, I would say 15, especially if it gets down to 10. 100% grab it. It's a lot of fun. In my opinion, they do the best job in this version of Trials of keeping you from getting too frustrated too quick. There's so much to do. There's tons of courses. And then if you jump into the online, you can play multiplayer, directly multiplayer, or against the ghosts of other players, or in Track Creator, where you can see some of the absolutely insane tracks that other people have created. But the creativity with this game is off the charts. Absolutely love it. I think it's really funny, and the tracks are a lot of fun. So I love it. And when you get to the harder levels and the game gets too frustrating, who cares? Forget about that and go play some of the online created tracks that are easy or medium, and it's still a lot of fun. So anyway, Trials Rising, fantastic game. I highly recommend that one. It's not really a game that you complete, I guess, unless you're insanely good at it and you can finish all the extreme races, which not many people.
That's why I stopped buying the Trials games. I find them to be fun, but they do get to a point where I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like the first one I played it to try to beat it.
Yeah.
So I got really far into it, and I got to a point where I was like, this is impossible. I can't do it. Like, I'm not good enough at this. Yeah,
and they're certainly going to get – I just now unlocked a few hard courses. So the way they do it is it shows you a world map, and then it gives you these locations on the map, and either a sponsor is offering you a contract, or it's just a straightforward race. Try to get as high of a ranking as you can in that race. And it all starts at beginner or easy level, and it takes a while for it even to upgrade to medium. So there's tons of tracks before it even gets up to medium difficulty. And then there's a ton that are in the medium realm. So I feel like I've been playing it a ton, and I haven't seen one extreme track. I've only seen maybe 1 or 2 hard tracks. And there's a lot. I think there's a lot there. There's a ton of meat to this game that I really appreciate. So highly recommend Trials Rising. I'm really enjoying it. They do have 2 paid DLC packs coming out, so you could buy the expansion pass. I think if you buy the $40 version, it'll automatically give you the 2 DLC packs. And then there's a bunch of free DLC they'll release as well, if that's your thing. So there you go. Another game I mentioned earlier, I just wanted to touch on briefly, because you and I talked about this when it first came out, but I just now spent some time this weekend diving into it again and then wrapping it up, and that's Far Cry New Dawn. I know that you and I both loved Far Cry 5. Some people would say we ranked it too high on our game of the year, but who cares? Far Cry 5 is an awesome game. I really loved it. And a big part of it was I actually found the storyline setting and the main villains to be really compelling and interesting and creepy. And I loved the end of the game as well. Far Cry New Dawn has some interesting moments, and the main villains, which are primarily these evil twin sisters. There's a few moments that I thought, oh, that was interesting. That was a twist. But most of it was not that well done as far as the story or characters go. As far as playing the game, it's very Far Cry. And they actually streamlined some of that. You can very quickly, as you take over outposts, you can then quickly warp to them. Once you have to upgrade your expedition helicopter guy one time. You can quickly fast travel to them, and then you can tell it, hey, I want you to, what's it called? Scavenge, which allows the enemy to take it back over with tougher enemies, but this time they give you more loot if you beat it. And then you can do that 3 times. So you can keep retaking outposts if you want more ethanol and other gear like that. So they give you some incentive to, and by the way, defeating certain outposts over and over again nets you pieces of rare outfits. So if there's a certain outfit you see in your character selection stuff, you can unlock the outfit. The problem with a game like Far Cry having outfits, you don't see them. You never, and except for like a very few rare occasions, if you defeat an outpost, you see your character like, oh yeah, that's what I look like. So you don't really see your character much. So I'm not sure how the outfits really benefit most folks. But anyway, I finished it. There's some cool moments. I like the way they tie in try not to spoil anything here. They tie in a major character, more than one actually, but the way they tie in a very key character in the final act of the story, I thought was interesting and I liked it. But it wasn't amazing. And by the time it was over, I was like, I don't want to go and explore any more of this world. It's the same map I've seen before. Yes, it looks different. Yes, a lot of the animals have been like mutated by the explosion and all that stuff, but it's just not really worth diving in like I do with most Far Cry games. So I liked it, but I didn't love it. It lands at kind of that 7.5, maybe 8 out of 10 for me, but it's good. It's good. And it's certainly not something I'd recommend spending $60 for, but you can't. So it's only $40. So I recommend it if you like Far Cry. Otherwise, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. That's the feeling I got from it. I was enjoying the couple hours I played, but then I was like,
Oh, and it's very pink. There's so much pink. I don't know if it's these twin sisters' favorite color or what, but there's spray paint everywhere. The enemies are all wearing lots of pink. A lot of the lettering throughout the game you see is very neon pink. And part of me says, hey, this actually looks really good on an HDR 4K screen, but part of me is also like, it's a little much and actually starts to feel bland by the end. I'm like, that's enough pink already, please.
Yeah, change it up.
Yeah. So it's decent. It's a decent Far Cry game entry. If this were a mainline Far Cry game, I'd be very disappointed.
Yeah.
It doesn't quite have the same.
It just feels like DLC.
It does feel like DLC. It doesn't feel like Primal felt like its own game. I thought Primal felt really good. This one just feels.
Well, to be fair, Primal was. I know it's not like a main Far Cry, but it was its own game. Like it wasn't.
Yes, but it did the same thing that New Dawn did. It took a known setting, a known map layout of Far Cry 4 in that case, and it just kind of put a new layer on top of it with new animals and new enemies.
But it wasn't attached to Far Cry 4.
It wasn't
right. Part of Far Cry 4's story or anything like that. And so they didn't even make it play even close to how Far Cry 4 plays.
Yeah.
New Dawn was like, okay, Far Cry 5 is cool. We ended it this way. Like this was all definitely planned out.
Agreed.
We're going to end it this way. And then we're going to have DLC, but we're going to sell it as a new Far Cry game. We're just going to make it a little bit cheaper because it's not going to be as long. Plus, we're reusing a lot of the stuff.
Yep. It's actually a smaller version of the map, I think. It doesn't feel quite as big, and they block off a bunch of the areas. So
yeah,
it's, again, still plenty of stuff to do in this open world. It's fun. I liked it. Didn't love it. That's okay. It sounds like now my next game may or may not be Devil May Cry 5.
No, and by the way, I mean, if you want to spend $50 to get a hard copy, you can. But give me the $20. I want it on my Xbox. Give me the $20. I'll use my money, and then I want a digital copy of it. I want that one and Resident Evil 2 on my Xbox. It's just me.
So you just want Xbox gift card money?
Yeah, just send it to me, and then And the reason I'm not having you pay as much because I'll own it. You just get to play it. So
for as long as we're friends, because that's got to be coming to an end pretty soon.
No, actually, crazy enough, I was hanging out with Megan, and we were talking about that. I showed her like this, not a meme, but like somebody made a post or something saying that my husband plays with this group of guys, and one of them died, and now they're playing right now, laughing and sharing memories of him. So don't tell me online friends aren't real.
Yeah,
and
I saw that.
So I had Megan read it, and she like rolled her eyes. I'm like, and this isn't I like a lot of people. I was like, but Tim's like a real friend. Like I like Jesse a lot and Rob a lot, and I guess my brother's kind of an online friend. I don't see him outside online either. But I like those people. But Tim is somebody, and I've said this before, where I can share my life with you. Like I don't have to put like this fake persona on and be like, well, I'll only, if you ask me how I'm doing, I'm just going to say good every time or whatever. I can tell you what I'm going through, and I hope you feel the same way about me. And then I can share things. Obviously, we share Xbox and PS4, stuff like that. And if we didn't have some level of trust, we could have from the beginning gone in there and just started purchasing games for each other, using each other's credit cards or whatever. Yep. But so there's a genuine relationship there. Yep. So I like that we have that.
Yeah, feelings mutual, man. It's interesting because there's people that I know in person that I'm really close with, a couple folks from work, maybe one or two people from church, but typically, like if something big happens, I'm like, oh, I gotta make sure I tell Derek about this, because we're really close. We've dated on and off a little bit.
I just used Sasan to get you jealous. That's really all it is. Sasan's just a piece of meat to get you jealous.
For those of you in our group, if you see Derek randomly post something to Sasan, it has nothing to do with Derek and Sasan. It's because I haven't been giving him enough attention. That's his way.
You're actually 100% right on how I work. I do it with girls, not with guys, but that's exactly what I do. If you don't give me attention, I just find another woman to replace you.
Start acting out. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what I do.
Oh my gosh! Well, there you go. There's a TMI look into our lives for this week. All right.
But I thought I'd be authentic for a minute, jump out of my persona and be like real.
By the way, I do like that meme too, though. My wife showed it to me actually, and thankfully I did not feel scoffed at for that because, I mean, listen, in this day and age, it can be a scary and weird thing to connect with folks you don't know, in person. But I think when there's an authentic, especially with the fact that we can talk face to face for these podcasts every week, we've gotten to know each other and things like that. I know you're a real person. I don't feel like Manti Te'o right now, which is good. I know you're not. I don't think you're catfishing me. If so, what a long game to play. Like you are not winning.
Very slow at my catfish.
You're not winning very much. But I think it's really cool to be able to, and I love our group. Most of them, a few of you are absolutely nuts, and I don't know what to do about you. But most of you are pretty awesome, and I actually care when I see someone's update with their marriage or with their kids or a job situation.
Well, that was what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say. You get what you give, and what I mean is we live in a world that's. I'm sorry, I'm just going to be blunt. It's extremely fake. Extremely fake. They're all about image and how they look inside and outside, and they are afraid to be judged. That's why we live in a PC culture. Nobody wants to be told that something about them's not right. They're fragile.
You know what's crazy is the ones who are the most fake are the ones who are trying to be the most genuine and caring, but it's all an act to try to get attention. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's still and not to get sidetracked because I do have a point to what I was saying, but I joined this group, this gaming group with three pretty attractive. I would say two of them are pretty good looking. The other one's okay. Gamer chicks.
Oh, okay.
And they run their little podcasts and stuff like that. And all these little unattractive little boys, and they can sit there and try to pretend like they care about their show and blah, blah, blah. Bottom line is they sit here and overly compliment on these posts. They'll just be like, I am so frustrated that people are attacking Andrea on her opinion. Blah. I'm like, dude, they don't care about you, and you don't even care about them. You're being fake for attention. You just want them to like your post and comment on it. And that's not me being judgmental. I know that's what they're doing.
So wait a second. Do you think there's some gut hope that Andrea or whoever the female might be will see their comment and be so moved that they'll now personally message them and begin a relationship with them? Do you think is that secretly what they're hoping?
I think they just want attention. I don't think they expect like a DM, like, "Hey, you're kind of cute," and I'm lonely.
Those are reserved for the Teague. Okay.
Yeah, that's for me. I'll just go in there and be an asshole, and then they'll DM me. No. But I do think that they do that in hopes that they'll respond, but also other people in the group will be like, "Yeah, man," and they'll get attention from that.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I never really did that in other groups we did, but there were times where I would say something and I'd be like, okay, maybe Colin will see this or Greg will see this. That will be cool. But I never did it like, oh, this is the only reason why I'm posting this.
Right, but all of us have done that. All of us have worded things in a certain way to get someone to look at us in a more positive light. We've all done that before in different ways. But you're right. There are some folks who only live that way, and they do it for strangers. And that's, after a while, it's like, what are you doing? Like, do you have no real thoughts of your own? Are you really just trying to take a stab at what everyone else will cheer you for? So
yeah,
I'm with you.
That's one thing, but I didn't want to get sidetracked, and sometimes I lose my train of thought. Where I was going with this is with like our group. What I was saying is you only get what you give. So if you're fake because you don't want people to see who you really are, then all you get back is fake. The only way I can get close to people is to show them who I really am. That's why, and there are a ton of people that don't understand this, or they'll even judge me harshly on this, and that's fine. I'm secure in myself and why I do these things, that it doesn't bother me. But the reason why, when I was going through my difficult time, I did it slowly. I didn't just come out and go, guys, this is what I'm doing to my wife. I did it slowly. First step was, wife and I gonna get a divorce. And then, boom, I then started slowly sharing what I did, what she's done, where I'm at in my healing process, what I'm doing. Did I share everything? Nope. There's a ton of things you guys don't know. There was times where I was being shady, but I was like, God's changing me. But I'm being shady. And then there was other times where I was spot on. Like, what I was saying was accurate, and I was living it because it was all a process. My point is I was sharing that process because I needed it for healing, but it was also so they could see the real version of me. This is who I am. This is the authentic version. You either like him or you don't. And there are people that would read my posts and they don't say it to me. I'm good at reading people. I can tell who doesn't like me in the group, who thinks I'm a self-absorbed, selfie-taking douchebag. And they actually mean it. They're not joking with me. They're like, I don't like that guy. But I can also tell the people that are like, I appreciate his sense of humor. I appreciate that when he's down and broken or insecure, he can say it. That's why I do it, because you get these authentic relationships. I won't say the names of people, but I had a ton of people private message me. Weird. They private messaged me. They didn't say it in public and said, hey, I appreciate everything you're sharing, or I'm going through what you're going through, or I've gone through what you're going through now. And what happens is I start connecting with them. And then I get this opportunity to help them or help myself. And so that's what I strive for now. I've always been that way. I don't care about being real popular. I don't need thousands of friends on Facebook. I don't need everybody at my job to like me. What I want is to be able to connect with whoever wants to connect with me on a deeper level. I want to be able to joke and have fun. That is my personality. But I also want to take it deeper. I've always been that way. I cannot handle just staying at this level. And the amount of people that I've met that just stay at this level and they won't go deeper with anybody. And the reason why, sure, their personalities are different than mine, but it's really because they're scared to get hurt. They're scared to have people find out who they really are, how they live, the decisions they make, the choices they make, because they don't want to get judged. Why do you care about being judged by another human being if they don't know your story? So I don't want to live that way. Anyways, I kind of went on a tangent, but my point is you get what you give. So if you want something more authentic, if you feel like your life is incomplete, that you don't have people in your lives, you're not close with anyone, look at yourself. Don't look at other people. what are you giving? Are you giving this false version of who you really are? Or are you giving the real version? Are you playing victim when really you're the one that's the villain? That type of stuff. Who are you? And that's what I learned, and I've learned a lot of lessons, but in the last year, who are you? Are you really a douchebag? Are you a villain? Are you a victim? Like, who are you? And who you are, admit it. Be honest. And that's why I go on a lot of runs and walks and stuff. I talk to myself, and I'm like, be honest. Don't lie to yourself to protect your self-esteem or your self-worth. Be honest with who you are. So anyways, that's what I think, even though we started with online friends, that's why I think you and I have been able to connect, is we started out slowly or whatever, but we got to a place where it's like, no, he can tell me whatever he wants. Nothing will gross me out. Nothing will be like, ugh, Tim does that or said that or thought that. I don't care, because I'm like, I'm really gross. I have a lot of a lot of poop.
Hey,
you can I can drop one. You don't have to.
I'm leaving it there.
Yeah, you don't have to.
I'm leaving it there.
Anyways,
you're absolutely right, man. You have to pour in if you want to receive. But that's the other thing, is that it shouldn't be just for the motivation of getting more out of these different relationships. I mean, it's kind of like any dating or marriage relationship you've been part of. You have to put into it. Yeah. If you expect to get anything out of it, you're only going to feel less and less satisfied and secure in that if you're not willing to go deeper than just that surfacey level. So I 100% agree with what you're saying. You know, it's interesting. There's not many folks who I think for most of us who are talking now or listening, not many people know the worst thing about us. No. But there's something about, I forget who said this. There's some quote out there about how sunlight is the best healer or disinfectant or something like that. But the idea of uncovering the darkest corner of what you've got in your life is very painful, and it feels super raw, and you feel like you could get attacked from any side. But on the other hand, when you start to realize that, hey, others have been through it, they actually don't judge you. They really admire your willingness to step up and say, this is me, this is what I've done, this is who I am, and this is where I've come since then. People really admire that, I think. At least I do.
Well, yeah, the goal of anything that has to do with depression that brings you down is to isolate you. And then here's the thing. If the only voice that's in your head is your head and your voice, and all it does is tell you how trash you are, terrible you are, how ugly and fat or stupid, blah, 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 and you have no other voices, guess what you're going to believe?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay? But if you're with people that know the real you, maybe have gone through what you've gone through, and they can give you a different perspective, a different voice that you can grab onto, and then you can start changing your voice, because you still have to take responsibility. You still have to take care of you. Like, I can't call Tim or any of my other close friends every 5 seconds. Oh, I'm just struggling. Speak life into me. No, speak life into yourself. But you still need them at times. There are times where you're going to get broken. I think it's always been weird that even if you don't believe in God or anything, you have to admit, if you observe anything, patterns. If you're in a tight relationship with somebody, like a wife or a husband or whatever, and you're down, they're usually up. And when they're down, you're usually up. It's usually a pattern. Why? I think it's designed that way so you can get each other and encourage each other. Rarely will you see a couple where both of them are struggling at the same time. I'm not saying that hasn't happened.
Well, and if so, I would argue that they probably aren't very connected. Honestly, They probably don't communicate really well. They probably don't know what's going on in each other's lives. They're both probably leaning on others outside of the marriage for that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm with you.
Even with everything my wife and I have gone through, like with her and I, what I did to her, what she's done to me, with the death of her sister, the death of my mom, which we're coming up on a year in a couple of weeks, the anniversary of it, and all that's coming. All those triggering events are all on the horizon. Even with all that, the entire time she was down, I was up. And I don't know how. I look back, I'm like, I'm not being dramatic. Nobody knows what I've gone through except me. There's people that have gone through it. I'm saying in my head, I look back, I'm like, how did I get through that? That was the most disgusting time of my life. I hated every moment, yet I was, for the most part, I had peace and even joy. And I was able to even encourage Megan when she was down and struggling. So it's like crazy how things can work out. Even when you're going through the most difficult time, you can still have a perspective or an attitude that doesn't align with what you're going through. I don't know.
No, I agree with that. That's good, man. That's actually that's really good advice for folks who are listening, because I know we've got even some who listen who are younger, and maybe if you're listening to this right now and you're like, oh boy, here's a couple of upper 30s something or others who think they know everything, right? And now
they're guys who have a lot of money.
They're feeling sincere and emotional. Good for them. No, this is valid advice that I wish someone would have given me a long time ago too, and that is, don't rely on validation of others to find your own value. That's what it comes down to. Because if you do that, then you will start tucking away these little dark parts of your life into these corners that only you see. And I do think it's not like you need to go out there and blast it to the world. Here's the darkest parts of my life, but you certainly need to have those relationships where you can do that with others and allow them to speak into it, allow them to see it, and allow them to respond. And if that person responds negatively, by the way, like if Derek were to have shared with me some of the stuff he went through this past year, and when I responded with, hey, by the way, I've got a whole bunch of skeletons in my closet, here they are, and I laid a bunch of stuff out for him, and if he would have been like, dude, didn't know that about you, I don't think we can talk anymore, that would have been crazy. That would have been absolutely insane. The idea is you discover who your real friends are and what a real friendship is, or even a dating relationship for some of you listening, when you reveal those parts of yourself and that person's like, that's totally cool. I actually think it's amazing you shared that with me. So I encourage you, don't look for validation in others, especially idiotic strangers online. Yeah. That doesn't mean everyone online is an idiot. That just means that most people online don't actually care about you or what you've done. And if they get a chance to elevate themselves by putting you down, they'll do it. So you do need to be cautious, but also I don't think there's anything wrong with having real close friends online. And that's why I like our group. I mean, yes, again, there are certain times when I'm like, I wish that weren't posted there or whatever. I hate this part of the conversation.
Why is Derek posting again?
But I also kind of like the odd family vibe we have there. It really does feel like a weird family. Like everyone's got their quirks. I know some of you really well. Some of you I don't know very well at all. But it makes for an entertaining place to be online. And it actually feels like real friendships with some of you at least. And I think that's awesome. So yeah, thanks for sharing that, man. That actually will cover any sort of fathers know best advice section we may or may not have done this episode. So there you go. That was awesome. I appreciate you sharing that. Couple quick news things. Sony apparently added remote play to iOS and Android. I haven't tried this yet. A few of you in the group, I think, have. So give that a whirl if that's something you're interested in. I still have my Vita, so if I decide to do remote play on my PS4, I'll use Vita. But there you go. You can use it on your iOS and Android now. It's still a couple steps behind what Microsoft is doing, and they are essentially making it clear that, hey, we want Xbox as a platform to be available on any device. I really think that's where they're heading. I think they might make one more box and be done, if I had to guess. I think and maybe they'll continue to make a standard, gaming box that can play any app and then includes their own Xbox app potentially. But I really do think you'll be able to subscribe to a Microsoft or Xbox service and access it from just about any device you want to. I think that's where they're going. But Sony at least has taken one step towards mobile to say, hey, remote play your PS4. The difference there, of course, is you have to own a PS4. So there you go.
I was going to try to do it on PC, but then it said that your home console is the one that you have to use. And I was like, oh, well, my home console's Tim's, so I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, that's true. Then again, what does Sony have coming out in the near future? If you wanted to switch back briefly to try that out for a few weeks or whatever, you could. Because I don't think I haven't turned my PS4 on in
Days Gone is coming out in April, I think.
April, okay. I haven't turned my PS4 on in 2 months, maybe. It's been a while. Not on purpose, at least.
I mean, I just turn it on to charge my my phone.
The VR games like Astrobot and Moss, those are the last things I played on there. And those are fun, but I haven't had much more to play on there. But
no, I haven't been playing anything.
All right, well, Nintendo, speaking of VR, they announced their own VR headset, so get excited. It's made out of cardboard. It's part of the next Labo set. It's VR Labo. Comes out sometime this spring. It's fine. I think it's a fine entry point for kids into VR. If my kids really, really want it, I might grab it. But I feel like when it comes to console VR experiences, grab the PSVR. When it comes to PC, get the Oculus. If you really want a high-end VR experience, that's where to go for right now. But if you've got a Switch and you and your kids want to try out some, I'm guessing, pretty basic, but probably enjoyable VR games. Go grab that Labo when it comes out later this spring. By the way, E3 is going to look way different this year. EA and Sony have both confirmed over the last few weeks and months that they're not going to have conferences at E3 this year. So no official press conference. Here's what we're doing, game reveals. Now, they might do a video release of some kind, Nintendo Direct style. They might reveal a game at someone else's conference somehow. Like EA may reveal a game at Microsoft's or something like that. EA will still have I guess they have some kind of EA Play event where you can go and play a bunch of EA Sports games and Star Wars and whatever else. So people can still attend and play, but I don't think there's any major plans to reveal any games at E3 from either of those companies, which is going to be a shift because we are used to E3 being a week of announcements. And so maybe it won't feel much different. Maybe EA and Sony will still announce stuff that week. I don't know. But the conferences will certainly look different. I'm a little bummed about Sony not having a conference, to be honest with you, because I've always liked having the big three, Nintendo Direct, Microsoft conference, Sony conference. I've enjoyed seeing all three, but this year sounds like Nintendo will have a Direct, I'm assuming, during that time, and Microsoft still plans on having a presence there. And Devolver Digital tweeted out that they'll still be there, and everyone's like, great.
Cares. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. All right. Hang on one second. What is it? It's on the counter. I don't have it with me. That's why I pointed downstairs. Okay. Lastly, and maybe leastly, for Derek at least, Pokemon Sword and Shield was officially revealed this past week. Or I guess maybe 2 weeks ago. They did officially reveal the release date of late 2019. These games are coming to Switch. It's the best looking version of Pokemon that I've ever seen. They showed some gameplay and some of the visuals, and it looks really nice. And it's going to have all new Pokemon, all new starters, a brand new region, no remake action here. It's not like a retread of one of the old games. It's completely brand new entries into the Pokemon series called Sword and Shield. Pretty cool names, I think, compared to some of their previous ones.
Maybe I'll actually give it a shot.
It looks much better than previous games have looked. So I think it looks pretty solid. It's going to be a major release for them this fall. Wouldn't surprise me at all if that ends up being like the bestseller of the year. Because I'm guessing it'll release like the week before Thanksgiving and then just sell gangbusters. That's my guess. So there you go. Those are some of the news items. Am I forgetting anything major in the news? We haven't talked in a couple weeks here. I think that's most of it.
There's not been much. I mean, it's been really just Devil May Cry and then Captain Marvel and all that stuff.
Which, by the way, I saw Captain Marvel early this week. I liked it. Didn't love it, but I liked it. I don't know if you saw it yet, Derek, but
I did not.
No, but I'm with you. I think it's mainly been those things these past few months, and I do think I feel like it's a little bit of a quieter spring. There's some big games coming, like Sekiro. I'm excited about. What was the one in April you talked about? Oh, Days Gone. There's a few games that I'm interested in, but there's no like Witcher 3 or God of War or
some exciting games to me that are coming out. I just feel like that's why it's so weird that DMC would be the one. I'm like, yeah, I love it.
Well, I feel like the last few years there's been something in this March, April window that I just could not wait to play. I feel like it was, correct me if I'm wrong, I think 2015 it was Witcher 3, and then the next year was Uncharted 4, and then the next year we had a combination of Zelda and Horizon Zero Dawn, both drop in this window. And last year we had God of War. So I feel like this is just for me personally, my personal gaming tastes. There's always been that one big marquee, like that's the one I can't wait for. That doesn't really exist for me this time around, but I've been pleasantly surprised with a few games here and there this year. So
I think Sekiro could be that for me if it's not too hard. But I think I get what you're saying. There's no there's no huge like AAA game that I'm like, oh my gosh.
Right. I should mention too, Yoshi Crafted World comes out this month. I mean, there's some charming, high quality games.
Consistent good games coming out.
Yeah. There's some good stuff dropping. It's just there's not that one that I'm I mean, most of those games that I mentioned from each previous year, I was counting down the days till those things were ready to play. I could not wait. But this time around, it's more of like, oh yeah, that's coming out soon. I'm excited for that one. That's how it's felt so far. But anyway, I digress. Real quick suggestions on stuff to buy. We haven't talked in the last couple of weeks. So I would say if you count last week And this coming week sounds to me like Devil May Cry 5 as our number one suggestion. And it's hard to disagree with. I haven't played it, but it sounds like it's pretty fantastic.
I'm pretty convinced. I would be shocked if you texted me and you're like, Derek, this game sucks, or this is stupid, or I'm not into it. I'd be shocked.
Well, if this is all some kind of grand hoax, then kudos to you because it's working. If you need something a little more arcadey, something a little racing, I suggest Trials Rising. It's a great version of that game, even if you haven't played the previous ones, or if you have.
How much is that one?
I believe it's $25 everywhere.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So it might be
talking about the price before. It was like 25 and then like 40 for like everything.
40 for everything, right? And I will say this, 25. I know that sounds like, hey, for a smaller arcade game that seems a little pricey. Yes, but there's a ton of content in this game. There's a ton of content, so it's worth it. And lastly, of course, don't forget this coming week, at the end of the week, we've got the Division 2 dropping. And if you pre-ordered some of the higher level editions, you'll get access to it earlier in the week. I didn't because I'm a cheapskate, so I'll get access to it on Friday like everybody else. But yeah, there you go. Those are some of the games.
So that's why people are talking about Tuesday.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. If you pre-ordered certain versions of it, or if you're on Uplay on your PC, you get, I think, a day early. So yeah.
Yeah, this is all stuff I used to be able to tell people, and now I don't pay attention to anything. I'm like, huh?
Yeah, I think if there's a $60 standard, then there was like a collector's edition, and then like a gold edition. You know, the standard versions or tiers of the game. And if you get the highest one, I believe you can start as early as Monday, or maybe it is Tuesday. Maybe it's Monday at midnight. You know, Tuesday early morning.
And old Derek would have loved to have done that, but now I'm especially with DMC5. I'm like, no, I'll wait.
Yeah, no, I don't mind waiting for that either. I've been super busy at work with a lot of different projects and stuff. So my weekends have been where I've focused most of my gaming time. So I'm good for waiting as well.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, thanks for taking time to talk late this evening. And I'll chat with you later. Thanks for convincing me to spend more money. Appreciate it.
Yeah, just send me, if you want Devil May Cry digital, just send me 20 for that. If you want Resident Evil 2, send me another 20, and I'll just buy them both digital on Xbox. If you just want one, fine. If you want to buy a hard copy and spend 50, that's fine. But
if you want to be an idiot, that's fine too. If you want to be an idiot, that's
essentially fine. What I'm saying.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for talking, man.
Give me the money.
All right. See ya.
See ya.
Who is your daddy?
I am the father. You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things here.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?